and getting into it a little early. I want to play some music this morning, and I've been getting a whole lot of requests for doing so. So I figured I'd get Barrett out of the way. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Oh, my goodness. So here's a question. I'm going extreme on this one. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. So let's say I crash into a pole or have a medical emergency or do serious injury to somebody, or I actually put my car like in the river. Are these things that are worse than other, like crashing into another vehicle? And do they stick on to my report far further than like 3 years?
So anytime you have an at fault and crashing into a pole, taking a quick swim with your car, those are things that are going to certainly follow you for a little while. And again, it depends on the company. Most companies will have a 3-year window of actually accounting for an at fault accident, and that could certainly impact you. Now, again, we've mentioned this before. If you're not shopping and you've been with an insurance company for a long time and you're not planning on leaving, even if those infractions show up, most companies have a level of forgiveness as long as you didn't crash into a pole and go for a dip with the car in a relatively short period of time. If it's relatively spaced out over a couple of years, you really don't have a lot to worry about. Where you need to consider it is if you are shopping for insurance, those things will follow you. I'm often a little surprised when I'm talking to people and go, okay, well, so we're going to run a motor vehicle report. We're going to run a comprehensive loss underwriting exchange report, which is the acronym for that is CLUE. Do you have any infractions, accidents, violations in the past 3 years? Nope, I don't. And then when I go, well, did you forget the vehicular manslaughter from last year?
I must have skipped my mind.
All of that! I didn't realize you were asking about that. That's obviously not true, but it's a real example of how we all are. We can all, life is busy. I don't expect anybody to remember what they have on their record and what they have for accidents other than the general sense of it all. But remember, when you're shopping for insurance, we're going to be pulling these reports to check out the validity of our quotes, make sure the crediting is appropriate, make sure that you're an eligible candidate for the company. So you need to have some sense of an idea of what type of history you do have, especially when we pull back some data.
Okay, so let's say I have an issue, but my wife doesn't have any issues. Can I just not drive for a couple of years and call it good? Wouldn't my insurance then go back down again if I was an uninsured driver on her policy? Or is it because I live in the same house, it doesn't matter?
Bada bing, bada boom. You live in the same house, it doesn't matter. If you have infractions and you're in the household, technically with every insurance company, anyone who's in the household who is of licensed age needs to be disclosed and oftentimes listed, even as people who have their own insurance elsewhere. But that can still become a factor. And why is that? If there's somebody who's considered a high risk in your household, the companies kind of want to know that, because it brings on a higher risk of loss. So somebody who may have had a DUI, that stays with you for 5 years, no matter what. That's a major infraction. And so let's say it's mom and dad in the household, and Junior lives in the household, and Junior had a DUI, but Junior has his own insurance. It doesn't necessarily matter, especially if you're shopping, by the way. These things will be found out and can impact how your insurance quoting experience goes.
Now, speaking of insurance quotes, for a time, and I don't know the time frame, there were some COVID discounts. Have all of those things gone?
Yeah. Do I think they're gone forever? Not necessarily. I know some companies are still promoting it. They're using it as a marketing tool, which is just an additional credit. But the way companies really intended for this to be is to say, look, statistically, with less people on the road, less driving means less accidents. Less accidents means more profitability for the companies. More profitability for the companies means we need to give you back some money because you deserve it because you're driving less. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility. COVID's still very much an unknown as to where we're going with this. So I would not be at all surprised if some companies introduce some other type of program.
As things come forward. If you'd like to find out more about what you have and what you don't have for coverage, you can call Mike Barrett, talk about your insurance. It's a free conversation. He just loves yapping. Mike Barrett, Barrett Insurance Agency. You can call him by buzzing up at
748-5224. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time because I will chat. No, just kidding. I won't keep it that long. You can also find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. If you don't want to talk, that's fine too. You can go to our website, get a free online home or auto quote at thebarrettagency.com. Google, Facebook, and YouTube is all Barrett Insurance Agency.
Take care, buddy. Talk to you next Wednesday.
Be well, sir.
You too. Bye.